look at the night sky anymore. Not since Borneo. If I'm walking home late and I hear the wind rustling through the trees above me, I don't look up. I just walk faster. I stare at my shoes. I stare at the concrete. Because I know what might be looking down at me. People go to Indonesia to find themselves. You know the cliche. Digital nomads, backpackers, spiritual seekers looking for enlightenment in Bali. I was one of them. I was burnt out from my corporate job in Chicago, dealing with a divorce, dealing with the noise. I wanted silence. So I did something stupid. I wanted the authentic experience. I didn't want a villa with a pool and room service. I wanted isolation. I found a listing on a forum, a wooden house on the edge of a protected rainforest in Kalimantan. The listing said it was peaceful. It said the air was clean. It didn't mention the history of the land. It didn't mention why the house stood alone, separated from the nearest village by 3 miles of dense, suffocating jungle. This is not a ghost story. Ghosts are dead. Ghosts are memories. What I saw in that jungle was biological. It was alive. It was hungry. And it knows I'm still talking about it.
The driver dropped me off just as the sun was bleeding out over the horizon. The sunset in the tropics is different. It's violet and bruised. It happens fast. He refused to help me with my bags. He just pointed down the dirt path. "Sana," he muttered. "There." Then he looked at his watch, panicked, and drove off, leaving a cloud of red dust hanging in the air. That silence hit me first. You think the jungle is loud? No. During the transition from day to night, what the locals call Maghrib, the jungle holds its breath. It's a heavy, humid silence that presses against your eardrums. The house was a joglo, beautiful teak wood elevated on stilts to keep the floodwaters and animals out. Standing on the porch was my host, Ibu Ratna. She was tiny, withered. Her skin looked like old parchment wrapped too tightly around a skull. But her hair was thick, luscious, and jet black. It didn't match her age. It looked like a young woman's hair glued onto an old woman's head. "Welcome, David," she said.
"Welcome, David."
She didn't shake my hand, she just bowed slightly. When she smiled, I saw her teeth. They were stained a deep, dark red. Back then, I didn't know about betel nut chewing. In the dim light of the porch, it just looked like she had just finished drinking a glass of blood. "You stay here," she whispered. Her voice sounded like dry leaves scraping together. "Forest is good, quiet, but rules."
"Rules?"
I asked, putting my bag down. "Yes, nighttime. You lock window, you lock door. If baby cry in forest, you do not help. If woman laugh, you do not look." I chuckled nervously. "Is it dangerous animals? Tigers?" She stared at me. Her eyes were milky and clouded, yet piercing. "No animals," she said. "Old things, hungry things."
"No animals. Old things. Hungry things."
She showed me to my room. It was simple. A mattress on the floor, a mosquito net, and a window that faced the dense canopy of trees. Before she left for her own small hut about 50 yards away, she turned to me one last time. Remember, Mr. David, the neck. Always cover the neck. I should have left right then.
Remember, Mr. David, the neck. Always cover the neck.
The first week was actually perfect. The isolation was what I needed. I read books, I meditated, I slept. But by the fourth night, the atmosphere shifted. It started with a smell. I woke up around 2 a.m. The air conditioner wasn't working, so the room was stifling hot. The smell hit me instantly. It was thick and cloying. It smelled like jasmine flowers. In Indonesia, they use jasmine for weddings and funerals. But underneath the floral scent, there was something else. Something metallic, sharp, copper. It smelled like a butcher shop that had been doused in perfume to hide the rot. I sat up, drenched in sweat. The jungle outside was screaming. Insects, frogs, nightbirds, a cacophony of noise. But then, silence fell again, like someone had hit a mute button on the forest. Thump. A sound on the roof. Slither. Scratch. Thump. It wasn't footsteps. It sounded like a wet sandbag being dragged across the clay tiles. It was heavy. I froze under my mosquito net. My rational brain tried to explain it. A python? A macaque monkey? Thump. It was directly above my head. And then, a tapping sound. Tap, tap, tap. Rhythmic, intelligent. It wasn't an animal. Animals don't knock. I lay there for 3 hours, staring at the ceiling boards, praying they wouldn't break. I could hear breathing, not from the room, but from the roof. A wet, gurgling, raspy breath, like someone trying to breathe through a throat full of liquid. The next morning, I asked Ibu Ratna about it. I found her in her garden, burning dried leaves. She looked exhausted. Her skin looked paler, if that was even possible. But she looked satisfied, like she had just eaten a large meal. Ibu, I said, there was something on the roof last night. She didn't look up from the fire. Civet cat, she said quickly. Musang, many here. It sounded heavy, I pressed, and it smelled strange. She stopped sweeping. She turned to me slowly. The red stain on her teeth seemed brighter in the daylight. You lock window? She asked. Yes. Good. Civet cat go away if window locked. If window open, civet cat come inside. She laughed, a dry, cackling sound that made the hair on my arms stand up. By day 7, I got sick. It wasn't food poisoning. It felt like my energy was being siphoned off. I was lethargic. My neck ached constantly, right at the base of my skull. I spent most of the day in bed. Ibu Ratna brought me a herbal drink. Jamu, she called it. It was black, bitter, and thick. Drink, she commanded. For blood. Make blood strong. I pretended to drink it, but the smell made me gag. When she left, I poured it into the potted plant in the corner. By evening, that plant was dead. The leaves had turned black and curled up as if burned by acid. That night the fever peaked. I was hallucinating. The shadows in the room seemed to stretch and grasp at me. And then the sound returned. Slither, thump. But this time, it wasn't on the roof. It was on the porch. I was paralyzed. Sleep paralysis? Maybe. I couldn't move my body, but my eyes were wide open. I stared at the wooden slats of the window. I had locked it, hadn't I? Yes, I remembered turning the latch. Through the gaps in the wooden shutters, I saw a light. A soft, pulsing red light, like a dying ember. It was hovering outside the window. And then I heard it. The voice. It wasn't speaking Indonesian. It wasn't speaking English. It was a guttural, wet language. Clicking sounds. And underneath it, the sound of a woman humming a lullaby. The red light moved closer to the crack in the window. I saw an eye, wide, bloodshot, no eyelids. It was pressing against the glass, looking in, scanning the room. It saw me. The humming stopped. The creature let out a shriek, a high-pitched sonic blast that shattered the glass of the water pitcher on my nightstand. I passed out from the fear, or the fever. I don't know which. I woke up the next night. The fever was gone, replaced by a cold, sharp clarity. Adrenaline. I knew I had to leave. Tonight. I didn't care about the money. I didn't care about the darkness. I packed my bag in silence. The jungle was quiet again. Too quiet. I crept out of my room. I needed to find a signal to call a taxi from the main road. To get to the road, I had to pass Ibu Ratna's hut. The door to her hut was slightly ajar. A flickering candlelight spilled out onto the dirt. Curiosity is a curse. I should have kept running, but I looked inside. The hut was empty of furniture, just mats on the floor. Ibu Ratna was sitting in the center, her back to me. She was chanting, a low, rhythmic chant that vibrated in my chest. Hong, Ilya, Hong, Paying.
Hong, Ilya, Hong, Paying, Ing.
And then I witnessed the impossible. Her body convulsed. Her shoulders jerked upward unnaturally. I heard the sound of wet leather tearing. Rip. Then a sickening crack, like a tree branch snapping, but wetter. Her head separated from her shoulders. It didn't fall off. It floated up. I watched, paralyzed with horror, as her spine pulled out of her back. Then the esophagus. Then the lungs, pink and glistening in the candlelight. Then the heart, still beating, pumping dark fluid through hanging veins. Finally, the intestines, trailing below like the tentacles of a grotesque jellyfish. Her body, the empty shell, slumped forward onto the mat. But the head hovered in the air. The hair fanned out like a spider web. The organs glowed with that pulsating red light I had seen before. It, turned around. Ibu Ratna's face was no longer human. Her mouth opened unhinged, revealing rows of needle-like teeth. Her tongue was long and black. She hissed. She saw me. I ran. I ran like I had never run in my life. I dropped my bag. I ran into the pitch-black jungle. Behind me, I heard the sound that haunts my nightmares. Whoosh, whoosh. The sound of organs dragging through the air. The sound of a flying predator. She was fast. She was weaving through the trees above me. I could see the red glow illuminating the leaves, getting closer. "David!" she screeched. Her voice was everywhere.
David!
"Do not leave. I am hungry."
Don't leave! I'm hungry!
I remembered something the driver had said. Something about crossing water. Spirits cannot cross running water. There was a creek about a half-mile down. I sprinted, tearing my skin on thorns, tripping over roots. The red light was right above me now. I could feel the heat radiating from her exposed organs. I could smell the rot. I threw myself into the creek. The water was freezing. I submerged myself completely, holding my breath until my lungs burned. Above the water, I heard a frustrated shriek. Then, the sound of leaves thrashing. She hovered over the water for a moment, the red light bathing the surface like blood. But she couldn't touch it. She lingered there for what felt like hours, cursing in that ancient tongue, before finally flying back toward the house before the sun came up.
I walked 10 miles to the nearest town. I paid a truck driver triple to take me to the airport. I didn't stop shaking until the plane touched down in Singapore. I'm back in Chicago now. It's been 6 months. I live in a high-rise apartment on the 20th floor. I thought I was safe. I thought distance mattered. But last week, I woke up with a pain in my neck. I looked in the mirror. At the base of my skull, there was a bruise. A perfect, circular bruise. Like a hickey, but darker. And last night, during a storm, I heard it. I live on the 20th floor. There are no trees here. No animals. But on my balcony window, tap, 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 and a smell of jasmine and iron. She's looking for a successor. Or maybe she's just still hungry. So, if you ever go to Indonesia and you see a beautiful, cheap villa deep in the jungle, check the host's teeth. And never, ever look up. If this happened to you, would you have escaped? Tell me in the comments. And subscribe if you still dare to listen.